love it.
You love it? Will I launch this recipe? Yeah. Launch. Well, bakers, it is summertime and I'm going to show you how to make a vanilla pudding ice cream. This ice cream is going to rock your world. You do not need an ice cream machine. It is really easy to make. Our secret ingredient is vanilla pudding mix. It is a quick way to get a delicious homemade ice cream. Here's the recipe. We're going to start out in a nice big saucepan, and into this I'm going to add in some whole milk. Now we want to add in whole milk because the more fat, the more flavor. So don't use skimmed milk. And we're going to add in some sugar. Now, sugar is important in ice cream because it stops it from freezing rock hard and it makes it scoopable. So we're just going to put this on a heat like medium, and we're going to let that sugar dissolve and that milk come to a simmer. So let me tell you, a traditional ice cream is custard based, and I have done many of those and they're absolutely lovely. However, you can always, do a little bit of a shortcut and still get amazing results. That's why I'm showing you how to make this pudding ice cream. And the best thing is we're using vanilla pudding today. You can use chocolate pudding, butterscotch pudding, pumpkin pudding, and change the flavor of your ice cream. This is a fantastic recipe for kids and it's really versatile. So you can add in nuts, chocolate chips, M&Ms, butterscotch sauce, whatever you like. The world is your oyster when it comes to this recipe. So my milk is foamy. I can feel that my sugar has dissolved. So here's what I'm going to do. Here I have my pudding mix. I like to use the Jello brand Cook and Serve pudding. I found that this gives you the best results. So look for that brand if you can. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to add a little bit of our hot milk mixture into our pudding. And as we're adding it in, we are whisking and whisking and whisking and whisking. We want to dissolve that pudding powder and whisk at the same time to make sure that there's no lumps. Add about a cup of milk into it just to dissolve it. Then we're going to take that mixture and add it back into the pot. So once you're back in the pot, we're going to continuously whisk. And if you've ever made a pudding before, all we're looking to do is for the thickeners in the pudding to activate and for this mixture to get nice and thick. So that just takes, 2 to 3 minutes on like medium heat-ish. Keep on whisking so we don't get any lumps. You'll notice it's thickening, but it's not going to get really thick because we only used a small bit of pudding powder. So you will notice it thick, and don't worry if it doesn't get super thick, because once it cools off the stovetop, we're going to remove it, pour it back into our bowl and let it cool down. And once it cools down in here, it'll thicken even more. Lovely. That is probably the hardest part of this recipe, and I'm saying that very lightly because that was not hard at all. We are going to bring this over to the countertop, let it cool, and move on to our next step. My pudding mixture has gotten nice and cold, so we're ready to move on to the next step. If you want to do that fast, you can always put it over a bowl of ice and that will work really well. So our next step, like I said, there's no ice cream machine needed in this recipe. What we're going to do is whip up some heavy whipping cream with a stand mixer. You can also do this by hand if you want to use absolutely no machine. That is totally fine. We're going to add into that a little bit of vanilla for extra flavor. And we're going to whip this up to medium stiff peaks. So it takes around 3 minutes. So the way we can get away without churning this is that we're going to incorporate air into the cream rather than on an ice cream machine. You will churn in air on the machine. We're going to add it into the cream, and then we're going to fold our two mixtures together, and that's how we still get a lovely billowy scoopable ice cream without having the need for an ice cream machine. I have another recipe like this. It's my 2-ingredient ice cream. It almost broke the internet like 10 years ago. It's such a fun way to make ice cream. It is easy and you need so little to be able to do it. And like I said, you can do it all by hand if you want to. Lovely. Let's take a look at this cream. Beautiful. Nice and thick, not over whipped. This is what we're looking for. We want it to have nice structure to be able to hold up our ice cream, like I said, without the churning. So, we want to get a decent, stiff peak on it. Beautiful, lovely. Now, I have a thin-edged metal spoon. I'm not going to use a spatula because it's a bit thick. I want something thin, and we are going to fold our whipped cream into our custard mixture. Fold a little bit in first just to loosen up your mix, and then go in with the rest. Now, just a reminder for those of you who have never folded before, you want to cut through the mixture. We're incorporating the two together. Go around the bowl, cut down the middle, around the bowl, cut down the middle. We want to be careful not to over mix because we don't want to knock out all that lovely air that we just whipped in. But we don't want to get big white lumps of cream either. So you see the way that these two mixtures are thickening together? This is what we want. Almost there. Keep on folding it down until there's no more lumps. And just break them up a little bit with your spoon if you have to. Lovely. This is looking beautiful. Let's have a little tasty taste. Oh, yum. Yum, 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 yum. Okie dokie. Okay, so lastly, get yourself a freezable tub, an ice cream tub. I love these from Tovolo. They're just really cool looking and they really do keep your ice cream nice and soft and they don't get icy. And I'm going to pour my mixture into there. Now remember, like I said, this ice cream is customizable. So at this point, if you want to add in any sauces, nuts, candy, fruit, whatever you like, this is the perfect time to do it. Customize your ice cream with your favorite flavors. Spread it out there on top. Give it a little bit of a tap on the counter just to get out any air bubbles. And then on with our lid. That is it. All the hard work is done. Pop this into the freezer for a minimum of 6 hours. I like to leave it overnight, let it get nice and firm, and then we can scoop it. So I love kids baking, and I wanted you to know that I actually have a specific post on biggerbolderbaking.com of how kids can make their own cookbook. They are kid-friendly recipes that are great for little hands with a little bit of help. Pizza, goldfish crackers, cookies, ice cream. It is so much fun. And guess what? You're able to color in your recipe when it's done and make your own personalized cover for your cookbook. Keep them all together and have it forever. I do this with my son George on a regular basis and he absolutely loves it. It gives us time together, it gets him being creative, and he really loves the end result. I urge you, if you have children at home and you're looking for an activity, check out biggerbolderbaking.com. You will not be sorry. It is summertime, the sun is shining, and I'm taking my ice cream party outside. When you take your ice cream out of the freezer, let it sit for 2 to 3 minutes just to soften slightly, and then you can scoop it. And just look at how beautifully it scoops. It is really creamy, rich, and absolutely delicious. This is not an icy ice cream. Because I have a 4-year-old and I like to make everything a party, I have sauce, whipped cream, and even sprinkles. You can dress up your ice cream as much as you want and make it a really big deal. Kids and adults alike love ice cream, so why not dress it up and make it a big occasion? In my house, that's what we love to do. On this very hot day in Los Angeles, there's not many things better than homemade ice cream. Even though this recipe is a little bit of a cheat and not a classic custard, you would not know it's rich, creamy, and so satisfying. If you're in the mood for more frozen treats, then stay put. I have hours of videos of popsicles, ice creams, ice cream cakes, whatever you want. I'm going to see you back here again next week for more Bigger Bolder Baking. Can I share some of your ice cream?
No.
Oh, just a tiny bit.
No.
I made it. Oh, Georgie kitty cat.